Welcome back. Welcome back. I am going to be speaking to you about the courage required to make your dreams come true after trauma. What a topic. What a topic indeed. What I find most interesting about this is I imagine there are a lot of people that don't view dreams, visions, desires, and what it takes to bring them to life as courageous. I believe there is this undertone in society at the moment where it's almost an expectation. There's almost this like condescending thought of like, well, as if you'd do anything else, you know, as if you wouldn't just bring your dreams to life, insert sarcastic teenage bitchy voice. And full disclosure, probably the image I have of like so many influencers, probably completely not what they're like. But I just have this really, anyway, that's beside the point. When we think about healing our trauma, it's fucking courageous, as you would know. When you are in your trauma, when you have been impacted, when you're in a state where you think, what's the point in living? It's very easy to revert to the savior kind of mindset, which what I mean by that is I just want someone to come and save me. I want it to be easier. If I won Tatsotto, all of my problems would go away. If I just got this job, all of my problems would go away. If this person liked me, all of my problems would go away. And they're all masks to try and make life feel easier, right? We want someone to give something to us to make our life easier. And it's easier to want to be saved or to have someone else fix your problems for you than it is for you to acknowledge the parts of you that actually need to be healed. And I kind of hate the word fixed because it doesn't feel true. Like you're not broken. I wasn't broken. I felt broken, but I wasn't, right? I needed to heal. There was so much of me that I needed to acknowledge and release, but I wasn't broken. And so if you're hearing this and you're like, yeah, I need to fix myself or fix my problems, please don't look at yourself as that way. You're not a porcelain cup that's been smashed on the floor. You're a human. We all have scars and wounds. It's just a part of life. And acknowledging that there are pieces of you that need to be healed is fucking hard. It is emotional, it is upsetting, it is messy. You're required to be courageous and brave before you've even done anything, right? Simply by choosing and acknowledging that you need to heal, that's courageous, right? You have created courage to heal your trauma because you're here. You're at the stage where you're listening to this podcast and you're in my community. So, of course, you've already chosen the path of healing. And it's a ride. It's a ride, isn't it? Life's a ride. There are ups and downs and twists and turns and all kinds of emotions that we never knew we had. You have conditioning and layers that have probably gone unnoticed for so long, but you have found the courage to face them. You did it. And now you're at a place where you're like, okay, yeah, like I'm okay, but what's next? And maybe you've gotten to this point and there are other patterns that have come up. Maybe you're like, oh, I thought I'd be done by now, but you realize that now your perfectionism is at its peak, or you're overachieving, you've become a good girl, you self-sabotage, all sorts of sneaky little things that have shown up. Now you're in a place where you're good but not great. You know, you have gone from surviving to surviving in a different way, which I'm going to talk about in a future episode. But these are keeping you in a place where you kind of are like, I don't have anything to complain about, but I'm also not thriving. And I get it. What is now required of you, and maybe this feels exhausting or you're rolling your eyes at me, but now what is now required is more courage. Because the world doesn't just give people our dreams on a plate. It doesn't just hand you over what you desire simply because you want it. I wish it did. And sometimes miraculously it does, but I don't want you to think that that's the norm, right? I feel like the whole world would be a much happier place if it was. Maybe, maybe not. I think so many people um, would create a better world if their dreams were handed to them on a plate. But I also think that maybe there are some people that would be very selfish. Um, Not you and I. That's not what we're here for. Anyway, random Jackie chat coming back. If you want to bring your dreams to life, if you want to thrive after trauma, you have to be courageous every day. Every day, you have to be courageous. And I don't mean the type of courage that is really energy zapping. We've all had those moments where you have to be brave to get through something, where, you're like, all right, I've got to put my armor on and get ready for battle because I've just got to get through this. That's hard. That's bravery and courage, but it's hard and it's exhausting. Sometimes it is required. That's not what I'm talking about in this episode. Okay, I don't want you to show up every day feeling like you have to put on your suit of armor. That, no, thank you. No, thank you. The courage it takes to bring your life and your dreams to life after trauma is the courage to choose you every day. Courageously choosing you will look different for everybody. And it will look different for you every day. There will be moments where choosing you means taking action towards what you want, making a phone call, writing an email, creating a pitch, putting your hand up for a promotion, telling your partner you don't want to be with them anymore, telling your boss you don't want the promotion. There are a million different steps that you might have to take, but it's action. And sometimes it is action by doing the things. And other times, the courage required is not doing the thing. Other times, being courageous is taking time to focus on yourself, whether it is resting or journaling or meditating or breath work or dancing or whatever. But it's taking time to pause, to stop, which goes against everything we're taught, right? You know, I just feel like a broken record when I say this, if I'm honest. I feel like there is still so many people out there promoting that you must constantly hustle, you must constantly be on, you have to work really hard, you have to be productive, because what will people think if you're not? And one day, hopefully, we will get to a point where that is not the message. But right now, there is still so many people that is the way that they do it. Or they're promoting the do nothing and get rich quick scheme. Neither of them are healthy. And when you look at it, if you're constantly on, if you're constantly pushing and striving and hustling, you are zapping the joy out of life, right? You're zapping the joy out of life because you're forgetting about fun. And what is life if there's no fun? Sometimes choosing fun over work is courageous because it's choosing you. And there are other times where you will have to be courageous and face what's going on, to face your reality. You have to be courageous and let go, to release, to process, to heal whatever it is you're carrying and whatever it is you're working through. This, my friends, is fucking courageous work. This is courageous work. Because we are all susceptible to falling back into old patterns. If we don't spend time with ourselves, focusing on ourselves and our needs, we can fall back into the trap of carrying loads that aren't ours to carry. We fall back into old conditioning. We fall back into conforming. We fall back into being someone that isn't necessarily the truest version of ourselves. And so you have to be courageous and choose you. Courage isn't about this overt act that people see. Sometimes, sure. Sometimes it will be ending a relationship or speaking up for yourself or saying something that goes against what other people around you believe. That's overtly courageous. People will see that and go, whoa, like, did you see that? How can you do that? That's so brave. And maybe you've heard that before. Maybe someone said that to you. That's so brave. I can't believe you did that. I could never do that. And it feels good. Like it feels good to have someone notice that, to recognize that. But most of the time, the courage required to make your dreams come true after trauma goes unnoticed by anyone, possibly even unnoticed by you. Because every single day that you choose yourself, that you choose to focus on your dreams, on your desires, that you choose to live a life differently to what your trauma and your life to this point has taught you, is courageous. It's courageous. Every time you have a vulnerable conversation, that's courageous. Every time you choose to resolve a tension point or friction, that's courageous. Every time you take time to drop in and see what's going on within inside you, that's courageous. I recently had a conversation with one of my mentors, and I told her I felt something about our relationship. And it just happened subconsciously. Like I just kind of blurted it out without me thinking about it. And I wasn't really prepared for it to go any further, but it did. And we had a conversation about it. What I knew deep down on reflection was if I didn't share what I did, I would never have shown up in our sessions as my most authentic self. I would have molded bits and pieces of my reality as a way of making sure that she likes me, as a people pleasing thing, really. And, you know, that has nothing to do with them, but everything to do with me, right? And as I said, we had this conversation, and that is hard, right? It is courageous. And it's not the first time I've told a coach an uncomfortable feeling that I've had about them or that I've felt between us. And every time I have done this, one, it's taken a shitload of courage, but the results and the changes have been remarkable. You know, it was fucking petrifying every time, but so worth it. You know, and when I look back at my life and everything that I've created for myself, every single step of the way has shown courage, even before I focused on my healing, right? I look back now at my younger self and she showed so much courage, whew, because she chose to live. And for many years, living felt so much harder than ending my life. Then I focused on healing. And that was courageous because, hello, opening a whole lot of boxes that have just been suppressed for years and years and years. You know, it took work. I unraveled and dealt with pieces I didn't even know were part of me. I realized that there were parts of my story that had such a greater impact on me than I thought. And then I got comfortable. You know, I had a good job, I felt good, I was in a relationship, everything was fine. But fine wasn't lighting me up. My relationship wasn't lighting me up. I knew it wasn't what I wanted for the rest of my life. My job wasn't lighting me up. It was really, really important work, but it wasn't what I wanted to be doing for the rest of my life. And courageously, I chose to end that relationship and quit my job within the space of 4 months. Maybe not the smartest idea, but that's, what life led me to. My courage required me to let go of anything that wasn't a forever. My courage required me to focus on coaching because this is the most impactful and important work that I have ever done. That required courage because it went against all of my family's beliefs and it went against what I was told about safety and security. It went against comfort. It went against what other people thought. It was courageous because it meant doing things that people didn't necessarily understand, but it wasn't about them. Yet, in a world where we want other people's approval, we care about what certain people think of us. And of course, it's going to be hard. Courage is showing up for yourself. Courage is choosing you. Courage is not holding yourself back or limiting yourself. Courage is doing whatever it takes to believe that you can have whatever you want. And some of my most transformative moments have been focusing on letting go, focusing on healing, on removing the things that are stifling me. And once I've done that, I see these shifts. I recently did one of the most intense vessel clearings that I've ever done. And I felt so alive after it. And within 24 hours, I had a speaking opportunity, got asked to write and contribute to a book, and got invited to be part of an online seminar. I genuinely don't believe that would have happened if I didn't spend that time doing the clearing. If I didn't have the courage to go, you know what, something isn't right, and I've been avoiding myself and ignoring myself for too long. I need to shift something. Let's do it. I just don't think it would have happened. Courage is taking the time for yourself when you have limited time. Courage is speaking up for yourself. Courage is simply choosing a life that is deeply supportive of you and removing any conditioning, blocks, and obstacles that stand in your way. Or maybe I should reframe that. It's not necessarily removing them, it's moving through them. Because there are certain things that I don't believe that we can ever truly remove. When we think about get rid of this or kick this habit forever, I feel like it's not a trauma-informed approach and it can be unrealistic. But you understand what I mean. Courage is choosing you, and choosing you is what is required when you want to bring your dreams to life after trauma. If you genuinely, wholeheartedly are ready for more, you have to choose you. And by choosing you, you are choosing courage.